Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, May 2nd, 2014. Fighting in the eastern Ukraine has finally broken out to some level. Apparently the Ukrainians have in fact initiated a large-scale military operation in the eastern part of the country, especially near the city of Sloviansk, which is a district center in that area. They went into the city in an attempt to try to move the separatists out. They in fact were successful. They stormed and captured outposts on the outskirts of the city. However, they did lose 2 MiG-24 helicopters, which were shot down apparently by people with rocket-propelled grenades within the city. The Ukrainians subsequently arrested 4 separatists suspected in the shooting. The Russians, meanwhile, are livid. President Putin has once again issued threats saying that if this continues, the Russians will be forced to intervene to protect people in the eastern Ukraine who are oriented toward Russia. Russians have 50,000 troops massed along their border with the Ukraine. The American intelligence people are saying that thus far, no data has been discovered indicating that an invasion is imminent. However, this would indeed be the tripwire. If the Russians crossed that border, it would force the West to act. In Seoul, South Korea this morning, a subway train plowed into another train at a station in South Korea's capital, causing minor injuries to about 170 people. The accident occurred at Seoul's Sangwon Shipri subway station. About 170 people complained of pain after the accident. 32 people were taken to the hospital. Nobody was killed. The injuries do not appear to be serious. The accident comes as South Koreans are, of course, criticizing the government for lax safety practices concerning the sunken ferry, the seawall, that killed more than 300 people 2 weeks ago. A death toll from a car bomb on a busy road that exploded in Nigeria's capital of Abuja has now increased to 19 people. The bomb was driven up to a checkpoint near where traffic is a congested problem, located across the road from a very busy bus station during the rush hour yesterday, and left there and is subsequently detonated. The government is deploying 6,000 police right now in order to prepare for a visit from the Chinese premier. The World Economic Forum on Africa is going to occur in Abuja during the May 7th and 9th weekend. It is claimed that Boko Haram, the terrorist group, in fact, has said that they were responsible for the explosion. Just on a side note, we learned the other day that the United States military is actively involved in tracking Boko Haram from bases in the African country of Chad, just to the north, which is a safe haven for Boko Haram when they cross the border. U.S. job growth has increased at its fastest pace in more than 2 years during the month of April. Unemployment has now gone down to a 5.5-year low of 6.3%. Some 288,000 jobs were recorded last month, new jobs. Wall Street's expectations were only for 210,000. This will presumably now lead to a large day on the stock market today. The big broker Marsh has registered organic growth of 4% for the first quarter, but their reinsurance broking arm, Guy Carpenter, posted flat underlying revenues. This is the first effect, apparently, of softening reinsurance premium rates. So now Marsh has come in at 4% of organic growth. Willis came in at 4.2% of organic growth, and Aon's organic growth was said to be 3%. So they're getting organic growth. It's coming from the primary insurance operations, the retail brokerages, but the reinsurance operations are not showing organic growth because of the low premiums. Brokers are paid on a commission of the premiums. If the premiums are low, the commission is low. Arch Capital has ceded $32 million of premiums in the first quarter to its startup sidecar, Watford Re. This is the first time that Arch has used its sidecar. Watford Re, which capitalized at about $1 billion earlier this year, has been set up to write casualty business. Arch has announced that this was being used in their first quarter results, which just came out last week. Florida's House of Representatives rejected a provision yesterday that would allow out-of-state surplus lines carriers to take on Florida homeowners insurance policies through the state-run Insurers Clearinghouse initiative. This is an incredibly short-sighted move on the part of the Florida House of Representatives. The Senate had approved the move. What it essentially would have done would have allowed out-of-state carriers who were subjected to the same regulatory requirements as in-state carriers to begin to take business, Florida windstorm business, homeowners business, the kind of business that represents a true peril because of the hurricane propensity of Florida, would have taken that business and began to underwrite it. Meanwhile, proudly boasting about the fact that the House of Representatives had struck down this provision, which would have allowed out-of-state carriers in, the chairman of Citizens Insurance, a gentleman named Chris Gardner, which is the insurer of last resort in Florida, said this was a very positive step forward as Citizens hopes to return to being the state-created insurer of last resort. Keep in mind that it was only a very short time ago that Citizens Insurance had over 50% of the policies, all policies, written in the state of Florida. If Citizens Insurance can't pay its bills, assessments are levied against all Florida homeowners who have insurance. Why the House of Representatives in Florida determined not to let out-of-state carriers assume part of the burden is beyond me. The crude oil train derailment in downtown Lynchburg, Virginia the other day that fortunately didn't kill anybody but caused a massive explosion and billowing smoke when 15 tank cars carrying Bakken Shield crude oil came off the track in downtown Lynchburg has now apparently finally led to some action. The governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, who sees a tremendous amount of volume of crude oil tanker trains passing through his state, has indicated that he is going to press the federal government for action to try to improve safety procedures. The increase in the size of the traffic now is such that U.S. crude oil production, which has increased by 32% in 2 years, has now led to some 400,000 oil carloads every day. In 2006, only 6,000 carloads a day were being moved. It's an incredible situation to understand that throughout the United States, at any given time, 400,000 oil cars are being moved, highly flammable, sometimes through major downtown areas. The Lac-Mégantic tragedy last summer, which killed about 50 people in Canada, has really put a spotlight on this. And since then, every 2 weeks or so, there's been another derailment and another explosion as an oil car goes off the tracks and burns. What happened in Lynchburg was a tragedy, but fortunately, it could have been much worse. Nobody was killed. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Have a good weekend. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you Monday.